Yes, this is another video talking about the same issue, but this guy actually, he's I don't know what his name is, but his website's like f1broadcasting.co. So I definitely think you should guys check this out. I'll leave a link down in the description. But he spent a lot of time on this, and this is actually going back to the video I made yesterday and a video I made about a week ago now, talking about this whole new, Sky F1 deal. And I want to talk about this again because there's now figures from 2016 first race of the season, the Australian Grand Prix, and it's quite crazy. I'm not going to lie, it's quite crazy the difference, the drop for both Sky and Channel 4 over BBC over this last our last weekend's racing. It's insane. But so we're going to talk about the race coverage here, because even though obviously Channel 4 didn't have the race live, they still had a highlights package which was obviously free to everyone, and that was broadcast later on in the day. Obviously the live race was something like, was it like 5 AM in the morning UK time, so obviously not a lot of people would have got up to watch the race, but obviously still same time as last year, so we can compare to that. But anyway, let's talk about Channel 4, because this was their first race, obviously broadcasting Formula 1, broadcasting a Formula 1 race, I should say. They obviously broadcasted qualifying, which I thought was pretty good. But in terms of the race, how do they do? Well, looking at the statistics, 2.11 million was the average sort of audience of the show, which is pretty impressive in itself, to be perfectly honest. Obviously, considering Channel 4 had adverts in it, which obviously does put off quite a lot of people. I mean, generally, I don't know whether anyone else does the same, but as soon as an advert comes on, always check the phone or go and get a drink or something. I don't know, am I the only person to do that? Probably. But yeah, so 2.11 million is pretty impressive, and that's with a 2.67 million peak viewership there, so that's pretty decent. But it's not so decent when you go and look at what it was last year for BBC. So obviously the highlights package does include some sort of adverts in there, which is frustrating for a lot of people. And with the BBC, obviously they had no adverts, obviously due to the TV license and everything, so you didn't actually need to have adverts in there for for BBC to keep going. But yeah, so it was 2.11 million for Channel 4 in 2016, and it was 3.03 million for BBC in 2015, 2014. I wrote it down 2014, but I think it's 2015. There's a link to the website down below. It's really a really good read, so definitely worth to go and check it out. And yeah, so that's 30% down from what BBC had the previous year, which is kind of crazy, obviously. Even though it switched over to a new platform, I would assume most people would go ahead and watch it, but that's a big loss there. 30% of lots, 30% of the audience have stopped watching, or maybe a few new people, I don't know, but a lot of people have stopped watching F1 because of the switch over to Channel 4. So that's disappointing in itself, but I'll tell you what's even more disappointing: Sky's viewing figures for the Australian Grand Prix. Yes, it was early on, but so was last year, and we're going to get onto that in a little bit. So, in total, on Sky Sports F1, 270,000 people watched the race, which is a very small number, in my opinion, to be watching a Formula 1 race. And I'm not sure how much everyone pays per month for Sky. I'm not sure what the exact number is. I'm sure it changes all the time, but that's kind of crazy to have that little people over on Sky Sports F1. But that does include an additional 90,000 over on Sky Sports 1 who were also showing the race. So in total it brings it to 360,000 people watching the Australian Grand Prix live, which, okay, it's not too bad. I mean, it peaked at 558,000, which is quite a big peak in comparison. That's over just under 200,000 people in comparison to the average. But that's all well and said, but looking at what it was in 2015, you're going to be quite shocked. It's down 30%, just like what the Channel 4 coverage is down. 30% on both of them are down on the previous year. So it's really, really sad to see this. I mean, obviously people are becoming bored and tired of Formula 1. The same old things happening. I mean, yes, even though the Australian Grand Prix was much more exciting this year, we're still getting huge drops in viewing figures. And the Grand Prix Drivers Association have actually written a letter to Bernie Ecclestone, and he has responded to it. I'm not too sure whether it's directly in talking about this sort of issue here. I don't think it is, but it's just talking about Formula 1 in general. A lot of people, including the drivers, saying F1 is in crisis and lots of things aren't going in the right direction to interact with the fans, to get the fans involved. And this is part of the issue now. It wasn't part of the issue for quite a long time, but I think this is part of the issue now, switching over to this pay-to-view only for 2019 onwards. And do you guys think F1 is in crisis? I mean, if these sort of figures keep dropping and dropping, it's going to get to a point with Sky like, What's the point? What is the point in us paying all this money for Formula 1 if we're getting these sort of figures? I mean, obviously, if we go to pay-to-view next year, I assume those numbers will be going... not next year, sorry, 2019. I'm assuming those figures will jump up, because more people obviously will sign on for the service, but I'm still thinking it can't be that much people. I mean, I can't see all of those 2 million people, or the average of 2 million people, I can't see them from Channel 4 going over to Sky to sign up. I just can't see that happening. I mean, even at their best, I can't see Sky, averaging more than like 500, 600,000 viewers, even if a load of people did sign on with this new deal coming through in 2019. I think, honestly, from these last few videos I made, F1 is truly in a crisis situation here. If something doesn't change, it's not just the TV deal. Let's stress that it's not just the TV deal that's affecting this, but there's so many things to do with Formula 1 at the moment which aren't right, that aren't interesting, but which people find boring, and if these aren't fixed, we're not going to have an exciting Formula 1 for the future. So let's hope this Grand Prix Driver Association letter, Bernie Ecclestone has responded with a bit of nonsense, really doesn't really mean anything, but let's hope something does happen, because we need it to happen for Formula 1. We want that good old Formula 1 back, where it was just exciting racing. You wanted to get up at 4 AM, 5 in the morning to watch a race. Who has that passion nowadays? Not that many people. I mean, I love Formula 1, but I didn't want to get up that early to watch the Australian Grand Prix. It was good, but still probably not worth getting me up that early to watch it, especially when I had work in the... I suppose, let's be honest, it's probably because I work. But anyway, I've rambled on long enough, guys. Thank you for watching. Do you think Formula 1 is in crisis? Let me know in the comment section down below. Goodbye.